Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. My name is Michael Wickerson, and I recently went over a wonderful program here called Grasshopper for Rhino C# Scripting by Jeremy Graham. I posted the certificate, and I actually just said, I'd like to do some stuff with this. And Jeremy Graham got back to me. Would like to show how customizing the nose is a way of building a library of ribbon tools on your Grasshopper window, if that is okay with you. I'll respect your intellectual property. I'll let people be the decision decider of that. I think I'm doing that, as well as I've been looking at the works of Rai Isa, Unichiro Horikawa, Nilafar, who did a bunch of Python scripts for Rhino development as well. And I got back from, I believe I got back from Jeremy, says go for gold. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically jump in here, look at his scripts. And what I did yesterday, if you remember, is I basically took a script. I'm just going to jump into this. I mean, it's really wonderful what can be created from very simple scripts. And I want to show you how the simplest little bit of math in your mind might end up building an interesting geometry. So as we jump in here, you'll see in here is this small jewel. And as I pan out, I've entered this labyrinth of a wonderful form to get to that. Now, I don't think I ever would have conceived of a gaming world or some Dungeon Dragon nonsense like this to make this gem float and hover in here. But that's what happened. And that's the type of discovery I think the visual artist likes, at least as a foundry person in casting metal and doing sketches and drawings and figuring out what you want. That's what was generated. Now I have to ask myself, and I did a whole full tutorial on this that I took off yesterday. But basically, yeah, it's using one of Jeremy's scripts. This was it. This actually wasn't the script. The script was much easier than this. It said hello here. It had no data in the Y, and the script itself was simply without this component message, range, and append list that I like to add to everything. So instead of using bifocals now, I'm getting in the habit of scripting my own C nodes. And in doing so, I found this little tool here is kind of nice because as I click out of that, that shrinks down to a nice little size. I don't know if I want it there in the screen. Let me click on it again and put it over here. So when I leave that screen, it shrinks down. So you find a little bit new out from everything you do. Jeremy Graham taught me that. But now I'm able to name my nodes and call them what I want. And this node is not that special. It's interesting. I'm adding and appending a number to a list, no matter what that range is. So you're still dependent on whatever range you bring in. So let's take a look at the data, because I'm not going to look at the geometry and what's constructed here. I'm really just looking at the C script and saying, do I want to do something with that? And this, I've got to exit. I have a script here, and what I'm going to do for now, even though I've got a lot of other stuff jumbled in here, is I'm just going to take this Boolean union, which is a long process, which is why I don't do a lot of Boolean unions in Grasshopper. Waiting for scripts is not as fun as going back, deciding on some forms, going into Rhino, and using it in your command line in Rhino. So I'm just going to take this and put that to disable. It's going to speed up the script and allow me to play with some rotations and figure out what I want. I do like this little tool that it downsizes. But it's new to me, so I don't know if I'm going to use it. So basically, all I've done to his node, like I said, was I've added this component message tool here as a string, and then I've changed the hello to range, which allows me to control the range, and then the number I want to add to the list. And what I was trying to do is get down to the bottom, and there's the 2. So that bottom number can change. As you see, I've got to set the integer, so there's no point having this off in a rational number. So let's move it back there. So now I have data, and that's where I started thinking, is that node a worthy node, the range and append list node? It is processing as a list, which is exciting. So in doing so, I'm going to give credit. I am going to right-click this node. I'll say, do I want it to say what it needs to say? So I'm going to make it a C# node, but it's going to be a Jeremy Graham inspired node. And that will pop up on my ribbon tool in a second. And I'm going to do range append. And that's just a simple node that I want in there. So we'll take that and we'll copy that. We'll leave it. That's what it's been named. You can go in here, and I had it as create range. You can put it in here as, Jeremy Graham range append node. But the main thing is to go in here and hit, make sure it's green, go in here and say create a user object. So exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the Jeremy Graham range append node. I'm going to leave the nickname the same. I'm going to go down here and say this is exactly what it's going to be. The category is not going to be Unity. I'm actually going to make the category, I'm not even sure why I have it set up as Unity. Interesting that I had it in there. All of these wonderful plugins I played with Warsaw. We're going to call that the Jeremy Graham plugin for me because that makes sense to me. And so what I've ended up doing is saying this is really just a generation of input. So a range is not really uh, uh, since range usually falls under sets, I'm going to say sets. And so now when I go into Jeremy Graham, I'm going to get a similar kind of ribbon tool sets. It's located as C. What I can do is maybe color it a little different. Blue is what I'm starting to use for Horikawa's. I think for Jeremy Graham, we'll give him a nice rich purple or a fuchsia, and that will, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll try something green as opposed to blue, or let's do something orange that stands out. And you can put on other icons if you like, but I actually like that bright orange. And that's going to be Jeremy Graham's logo. So now when I go in here, I've made a ribbon tool. There's the J, and it'll start coming to the forefront as I use it, but I can grab that at any time and bring it in, and it's ready to run, which is nice. And I actually have it with the graft on here, which I don't really need, but I put it on there. But he's up on my ribbon tool and ready to go. And my ribbon tools are starting to become a little more programming based in C. So when I jump in here, I get hit with a lot of these. RyISIS site, which is Rhino Geometry. I think that's the section on there. I've got other ones that are dealing with C# component. When I go into here, you'll find that these methods come out of the Warsaw School. That's Weaverbird, but the Warsaw School's over. That was a workshop I was doing over here. So I have tons of things I can use. And what I'm going to do is just keep going. And I know some of these nodes are irrelevant, and if I end up looking at them later and saying I really don't need that, I'll just delete them, get them out of my user objects. What's also wonderful is I can have these popping in, go over to my special folders, my user object folder, and decide how many of these do I really need to keep. And right now, I've got that tucked in JG, which is tricky because it's actually going to get locked in with my lettering. And I don't know if I really like that title there. So maybe to solve that problem now, as I become a little organizational, it's not so exciting for people. I guess I'll leave it in there for now and see what comes out of Jeremy's nodes as I look at it. The next node I'm going to be looking at is this one, which he's given me permission to do. In doing so, I think it'd probably be best to take all this and just turn that off, disable. Let's shrink our window down. Let's get rid of our bake because we don't need that one anymore. Let's go back into something we could actually see the geometries here. Nice little geometry. And let's take a look at the first thing on the script. And I know this is going to be a pretty dead simple script. And these are all available. If you take the course, you'll see them online. As they get more complex, I'm not going to show what they stem from because I think the scripts do, in the last section, become pretty much Jeremy's intellectual property as to what's hidden in here. So take the course to take it, and he actually has a really nice tool here, which is a bake tool. So you just hit the button in any geometry. I'm going to be using that one a lot, the C# node for baking. And of course, people say there's plugins for that. You can go get those things. Well, what's nice is you can double-click this and see the script. And you end up thinking yourself more as that back-end programmer getting in here and finding all the nooks and crannies of what's going on. Anyway, a large stall will enable that. We'll double-click this one because it's not really that. There's nothing really being shown here. I really like it. I probably will make it a node. But what I'd do is I'd go in and say, okay, this is your first comment. This is a first multi-line comment. So this is like, how do you write multi-line comments? And so I would go in here and say component, message, that should come up, equals. Let's do this on every node now and have some good orderly advice. And this is going to be comments. And that's it. That's the name of that node. Let's end it with its. That's it. And let's change it so it becomes ours. We are writing comments now. There we go. And because I got off the line, it's not going to work. There we go. We are writing comments now. And the multi-line comments, similarly, we are writing multi-line comments. And you really want to it's like practicing something you learn on an instrument. You've got to do that. Now hit OK. It's going to change that script. There you go. You've named it that. You do not need any of these as inputs as you go as a multi-line comment. It might be nice to input a comment, but how would you do that, input a comment, if it was locked into a comment line and have it variable in? The out is here. I didn't do anything for the out or the A, so there really isn't any point in having that as well. So as you go in here and you take that off, you might want to leave your out, but I did learn also right-clicking here, you can remove your out resource. Now we have a very small comment node, and I think that's silly, so let's right-click it. Let's go up to File. Let's go, actually, did we name that file? Let's call it Jeremy Graham comments. There we go, and let's stay consistent with, I'm not really following, kind of putting caps on it sometimes. Let's grab that one, let's go to the file, user object, let's type in exactly what we just put in, Jeremy Graham. I usually cut and paste this, comments. There we go, and I did lose my cap. Let's go up here and say Jeremy Graham comments, and because it wants to be the title you gave it, we'll stay consistent. That's it. It's not in sets. Let's put it in as, I don't know, let's put it as inputs. That'll be a category for inputs. Let's go down here and make sure we choose the same icon of the bright orange and hit go. And now what you've done is you've started to build an inventory of input nodes that I can go in here and grab it. And there we go. I have another one ready to use. So if I want to use comments, I can bring them in, and I know Jeremy Graham was the fellow that taught me that. So you're getting the gist of what's happening. And I'm going to walk through a lot of these. Like I said, I'm going to bury the contents of them when they get more complex and customize them into more elaborate geometries like I did here. And maybe it's okay to grab this stuff. And, well, you never know how busy the screen's going to get. So I'm just going to move these ones over, and as I start to develop, we'll see how longer they become. But that's it in a nutshell, what I'm doing with Jeremy Graham. So I hope you find it exciting and stay with this video series. It is definitely sign up for the Grasshopper Rhino course, the C# scripting with Jeremy Graham. Get certified to do that, and then maybe you can start customizing your own ribbon tools and starting to use C# in your scripts more often than not. And of course, you'd have to send those files, which makes your programs kind of interesting because you can send on these files to other people as you go and customize them. And you can always share your files right out of your, there's nothing, and this is what I'm providing on my GitHub and also on my Patreon. I'm able to run in here and say, listen, all these I can categorize and give to people that might find useful. And they've come in tons of programs, and they're all C scripts. So they are my Lego set. They are my building blocks, and that's what's making things interesting. Thanks for watching.